Action.
Action. So good. Welcome to today's video. We are talking about our infertility journey and answering a lot of common questions that we've been getting.
We did a massive Q&A on our Instagram, so if you don't follow us on Instagram, that's where we're doing everything. We're sharing our entire journey there. We're a lot more active on Instagram, but we did a Q&A there and we had like so many questions.
And that's where we're mostly posting our infertility journey, kind of in like the day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year. That was some dark humor.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram.
So without further ado, we are just gonna dive in and start answering your guys' questions. And Rooney here, I guess, is gonna be joining this video. He loves being filmed and part of videos. This is our second child, Rooney, for those of you who don't know.
Very common question we got is some sort of variation of what's the next step in our infertility journey. Other people were asking if we are gonna try IVF next.
So I think for any new viewers, let's just start with a little rundown of where we've been recently in our journey, because that's where a lot of these questions are coming from. First and foremost, we started going to the fertility clinic back in April of this year. So we're 2 years into trying to conceive. Over a year in of knowing that we've had male factor infertility, we decided that we wanted to start the process of IUI. So we went in, we had to cancel that first IUI due to some things that they found in my uterus, and they decided to do a polypectomy surgery where they cleared out a lot of stuff in my uterus. And then we did do an IUI attempt. Completed the IUI attempt, we got pregnant, and then unfortunately we had a miscarriage, and we had an early miscarriage. This is only a few weeks after that when we're filming this.
So it's all really fresh, I'd say, and maybe we'll go in more depth some other time, but this is all really devastating. Not only like the fact that we thought we were gonna get to start IUI after such a long time of just nothing working. We were really excited to start IUI, finding out we had to have surgery and we couldn't do it, to then getting to do it, it kind of in a sense working, but then unfortunately like we lost it. So when we're asked questions like what's the next step, I feel like one of the honest answers is that we don't fully know. I mean, I think we're gonna try IUI again, but we're kind of in this phase of like, you know, probably bouncing back and forth between trying naturally and going back to IUI. On questions of IVF, that's obviously like a real possibility for us in the future if we don't have any success with what we're doing, but we're not necessarily like moving towards that at the moment.
One of the hardest months in the journey for me was a month last fall. I believe it was November. I tried to block it out of my mind, but that was when we actually had a doctor tell us that if we wanted a baby anytime soon, that we should do IVF. And she said we should skip IUI, not do any of that, and just do IVF. Like that was the only recommendation that she had. And that was pretty devastating news at the time. We just haven't really wanted to accept that as the only option. I don't think we're very much like worst case scenario thinkers. Even though this whole time it's hard to be positive, we do have a tendency to be more positive and kind of want to like try all our options first. But what they found in my uterus, what they removed, what they cleaned out, everything that we've discovered on that side with my fertility, I feel like has changed our thought process the last 6 to maybe 8 weeks. It's been 8 weeks. So I feel like if you would have asked us 2 months ago, we would have been like, well, we're just gonna try IUI, but like the end goal is IVF. Like we are open in our hearts that like that might be our reality, and that's why we're starting fertility treatments. We just kind of want to get the IUIs out of the way to see if it works, but like we know we might be having to do IVF. But now, since the surgery, it's kind of like, I feel like there's just more of a chance that we don't need IUI or IVF, that things could be really different right now. So we're just kind of in this like, I don't know what the heck is gonna happen.
I'm just trying not to go backwards at this point. You know, like keep my numbers up, and then I mean maybe like on paper we hypothetically could get pregnant naturally now without any intervention of anything, but like when you're 2 years into it, it's, you just don't know. Like you've learned that when you don't think there's any more obstacles that you have to go over, there are plenty of more obstacles that you still have to go over.
My gosh.
So yeah, but anyway, and honestly that kind of segues into the other questions that we got. Like obviously we've been open about my numbers have not been where they need to be, and again, so like obviously she recently had her surgery like 2 or 3 months ago, and so we're at a stage, even though this is so deep into our journey, we're at a stage where okay, my numbers are better, so hypothetically that should be going better. And then she's got a brand new uterus now, so she's clean out, so in a sense like that should be working out too. So we just have to kind of, it sucks to say this, but like we have to keep going on our journey right now and hopefully find success. For starters, so here's the thing, like I have gotten my numbers up in a sense, like a lot, and it's really exciting news. And we've been asked like what was the process of me getting my numbers up. For reference, I mean a year ago I was basically at 0 to 6 million. I did a lot of stuff to get up to 15 million, which is cool, but that's still not enough. And then I went from actually 15 million to 40 million in the span of 3 months, doing an entire different protocol than I was doing before. And so it technically worked. Regarding that, we're gonna make a video on that, like exactly what I did, the medications I was taking, the doses and stuff like that. We're gonna do that another time. I kind of want to make sure that like we have a successful pregnancy before we start talking about like what I did to get my numbers up.
Well, I know it's so hard because I don't feel like anything directly causes pregnancy. Even success with IUI and IVF, it's like you can say, oh, I did all these things which made IVF work or IUI work, but like you talk to these doctors, even our doctor, he was saying like getting pregnant just defies all odds and all reason. Even when everything should be perfect, even in IVF when everything is beautiful, flawless, perfect, sometimes it still doesn't work for no reason at all. Or sometimes it does work for no reason at all. Even though we haven't gotten pregnant yet, these things have worked for the goal. The goal with all the things Brady has been
like
doing.
The little goals within the big goal.
Yeah, the goal has been to increase your count, increase your motility, increase all these things and have better chances of getting pregnant, and that literally has worked, especially in someone with hypogonadism, someone who has had hormone issues, someone who doesn't really just respond well to basic male fertility treatments to like help. Like he already eats a healthy diet, he already exercises.
Have you tried working
like
out?
all the basic things for male factor infertility do not apply, and this video is kind of more the extreme of what to do when nothing works.
One kind of, not necessarily a question, but a comment that we've been getting a lot recently is how, like I'll say this, you have to be careful when you say this to someone who's going through what we're going through, but the people who have said this, like were friends of ours and stuff, like it's totally fine, but they have brought up like, do you consider this good news though? You know, that you did get pregnant despite it not, you know, surviving it, and we had a miscarriage and stuff, but like that's a good question. I mean,
yeah, the comment is usually like, don't you think this is a good thing? Like this is good news, this is great news, like you know you can't get pregnant now. For anyone going through infertility or even a loss, like that comment is never going to do what you want it to do when you're saying it. Like it's impossible to expect people to understand who don't go through infertility. Everyone's trying their best to support in the way that they know that they can support. Like the reality of that statement is like, we just lost our baby, and there is
no, we don't think it was.
There is no comfort in thinking. Yeah, like no, we don't think this was a good thing. No, we don't think this was a positive, great experience or great news. Like no, we don't think this was forward progress, which is the biggest thing from that comment. Is like, now you know you can get pregnant, and like if I'm just on paper being so real, yes, there is part of me I am so grateful right now because I know there's women out there who have never been able to get pregnant or never will be able to get pregnant. I am able to have that like understanding that I am so grateful right now that I now know I can get pregnant. That is a small piece of the puzzle, but like now the question is that we never wanted to have to experience this, but like now it's like, can I keep the baby? Yeah. Can I actually be pregnant? Not just get pregnant. Can I be pregnant? Can I stay pregnant? Can I actually have a baby?
It brings a whole nother layer of like worry in a sense.
Now there's just like a bunch of new fears unlocked. So in this time right now, that's kind of more where our brains are focused on, of like all these new fears and things that are unlocked, rather than just celebrating the fact that we were able to get pregnant. So it's just like there's so much unknown, and it's not like yay, now we know we can just try this month and just manifest and like get pregnant for sure because we were able to get pregnant. You know what I mean? And I know no one's like really thinking that, but it's like it feels like that's the irrational thinking when you get comments like that. It's like, no, it's not just like all fine and dandy now. Now there's more like struggles and things to, you know, figure out.
Along with that, it's like, how long was the process from consulting with the fertility clinic to actually getting the IUI? And first of all, I'll just say it was way faster than I thought it was going to be, and I almost regret not doing it earlier, because that's where we found out we still had a lot of like issues, to be honest. And number one, we confirmed that my medication was working, which is a really good thing to confirm. But then also we found out everything that was going on with like the polyps in her uterus that needed to be removed. And it would have been cool to find that out a year ago, I guess. You know, hindsight's 2020. I would say when you're thinking about IUI, it can be a very fast process. Like by the time you called to actually us like almost getting to do it, our first try was within weeks.
It was crazy. I mean, it really depends on the clinic, I feel like, but before I even booked the first appointment or started like reaching out to even inquire about the process of going to a consultation for the first time, all I would hear was horror stories like it took 6 months to even get an appointment, it took 3 months to even get an appointment. And when you're living in this like month-to-month cycle, even 3 months is forever and discouraging. Yeah. So when I was talking to these people, I was super like negative, super discouraged, so just like filling out these forms and stuff like, but we were able to get an appointment within 3 weeks of when I first started like applying and stuff. That timeline there was faster than I thought, which was really nice. Some people don't have that experience, but once you get in, you have the consult, I feel like things move quickly. It's all then just dependent on your cycle. So we really lucked out with how fast we have been able to hit every cycle since we first went into the first consultation, because I'm pretty sure like my period started the day we went into the consultation or something, or like the day after. So it's like I'm on cycle day 1, day 2, day 3, and like once you start getting into all that, like you understand all the days and like when they have to do things and whatnot. But every couple of days we were doing something new and moving forward. And then we also lucked out with the surgery, because usually the surgery, they require you to wait until a certain time in your period to like do it. But basically, like long story short, we were able to do the surgery right after we canceled the IUI2, like within a few days or a week, which led us here to like another cycle attempt like pretty fast.
The next question, someone asked, what was the main source of male factor infertility? And the truth is, we don't know. I can just say when I was about 23 years old, and I started to notice like some weird symptoms with like my focus and just like my drive for life, and ended up getting tested. My hormones were super out of whack. I have no idea why. There's no explanation for that. And every year from then, I would continue to get my blood work and continue to see that my hormones were out of whack. So what I have to say about that, just from being like a man that ran into this problem, who I consider myself a pretty healthy person, I would just say that there's a lot of guys out there that are just unfortunately unhealthy. I think there's a chance that it could be environmental. I'm not gonna go all like crunchy here or anything and like say anything that, you know, I don't want to say anything like outlandish, I guess, but like there's a lot of talk about, oh, you know, the chemicals or like the microplastics or the whatever. And what I'll say is that at this point, maybe there's some truth to it. But we'll never know for sure. I don't want to make any claims, but like there's definitely maybe something to do with the stress as well, because I am like an extremely active person. But honestly, like I think I don't know, maybe we're overly stressed, and you have no idea how much stress impacts infertility. Like even with women who may not seem that stressed, but like, I don't know, maybe we're not accustomed to working 40, 50, 60 hours a week and like being entrepreneurs and being super hardcore fitness enthusiasts. I don't know, like I don't want to make any claims, but it is what it is.
There is a huge part of us that really thinks it's genetic for him. I mean, there's people that are way more extreme in fitness that have perfectly fine fertility, or that just taking Clomid works for them and stuff like that. The fact that his count hasn't gone up enough or hasn't shot up or anything like that, to me screams way more genetic. Like we have genetics working against us.
Yeah, and like we'll talk about it when I make an in-depth video about like the medications and my whole protocol, essentially, because it is a little bit more on the extreme side. And I did get a question about whether I have any negative side effects from the medications, because for instance, Clomid, a very popular medication, it's the first line of defense. Like that's, if you go to doctors, hey, you know, I need to get my sperm count out, they're probably going to give you Clomid, which is just like an oral medication, and it works a lot. It works a lot. But there are some negative side effects to that, like mentally. Guys don't feel good, or they get moody or whatever. To be honest, like I don't think I've experienced any side effects, and I'm taking so much stuff, it's ridiculous. But I don't take Clomid, so maybe that's why. And I say this really just because I want to give hope to people out there. If you are someone like me who has unexplainable, whatever, like low sperm count for whatever reason, you know, I guess we don't know the final outcome, but I have been able to get my numbers up. There has been a way to do that without me having like really crazy side effects as well from medications, which is pretty cool. And if there have been side effects, I like hate to say it, but like mind over matter, I don't think I've had any.
And I just want to say right now in this video, again, like full video, go watch that one. But like the reason Brady isn't taking just like what the normals or what the doctors normally prescribe is just because these doctors have like almost habits of what they prescribe, and it's just normal and it's easy what they normally prescribe. So the newer things or like the more advanced treatment that Brady has had to do is not something they typically just prescribe first. So it's not like this is stuff they're not prescribing, but it's just less common, and it's just newer things. It's like Clomid has been used forever, so like that's just their go-to in the medical world.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, I am working with a professional, so I'm not just like freeballing this or whatever. Like I do have a physician that I'm working with, and he's very proactive and he's a smart guy, and he's helped many people in my situation improve their account. So someone asked if the low progesterone was a culprit for the loss of our miscarried baby a couple weeks ago. And so I want to point out, like, if you are going to a really good clinic for IUI, like we are, they're gonna take care of you very well. And so Maddie was taking progesterone, so that's a very low chance that the loss was due to progesterone, because they have you take it. There's only plus sides to taking it, and that was part of our protocol at that clinic. So yeah,
like that's just a simple no. Like,
you guys have a baby. We like to think that we will, by the way. Would you want to keep trying for more after, or maybe adopt one day?
This experience of trying to have our first baby has traumatized us. And sometimes we talk about, like, it's scary to think about the process of trying for a second one after getting out of this, like once we have our first baby and stuff. And I think it'll be a little bit difficult to have that conversation or to open our hearts again to trying, because you never know what can happen. We could be opening ourselves up to years again of infertility and treatments and stuff, like for second children. So like that thought is very heavy and difficult, and I want to say that because I'm sure a lot of people who go through this feel that same way. But ultimately, like if everything was just perfect and we had it like, you know, our way, what we've always talked about, yes, we do want 2, maybe 4 kids, 4 max, probably just 2. There's a little bit of a jump there. We go back and forth.
I don't even know.
2, like, so we do want multiple kids. No matter what happens, I don't think adoption is fully off the table for us.
No.
I don't think it's something that we will chase unless we have to. But if things just kind of worked out, or it felt right, or anything happened, like, we're not opposed to adopting.
Well, what I'll say about adoption is, like, that was never, I mean, I don't even say like we're talking about it right now, because we aren't, but that was, we've talked about this before we ever knew we were going to struggle with infertility, because 4 of my 5 siblings are adopted. So adoption runs deep in my fam. It's like close to our hearts. And so growing up, I thought like, yeah, you know, like I would probably adopt just to, like, I don't know, like help a kid out, you know, like, because I've seen it happen in my family. When we have talked about adoption on a very like superficial level, it was never because of infertility. But regarding to like how many kids, at this point, I'm really just aiming to get one and then kind of going from there. I absolutely want twins. So if anyone out there want to shoot some prayers up to the big fella upstairs and be like, yo, the Oki family needs some twins, totally fine by that.
That has always been the talk from Brady, that he wants twins, again, even before this fertility stuff.
Someone did, it wasn't really a question, but they just said, we're 2.5 years in and we have no hope. That was what they put into the question box. So to that, I feel like maybe this sounds better coming from someone who's been going through it instead of just some random person, because it's really easy for random people who have no idea what you're going through to just be like, it'll be okay. Keep your head up.
Happen someday.
Keep going, bro. And it's like, thank you, yes. And by the way, like we're joking about that, but like
it's
whatever.
No, it's positive. Just, like, thank you so much for like trying. Like we appreciate the try. It just doesn't hit deep.
Yeah,
you know?
I think all I really can and want to say is just that, hey, like, we are quite literally going through this too, and let's just decide together that we're just not gonna give up, and they're gonna have days where hope seems almost impossible to have, but keep going, because you're gonna have the days where you do have just a tiny bit of hope, and hold on to that. And together, because we're going through it too, like, let's just keep going, because I do believe, and I hope you believe this as well, but this is like a chapter, and it's a terrible chapter. It's a nightmare of a chapter, but like there will be another chapter after this where hopefully, you know, we have a family and stuff. So people have been going through this, not to dilute or like make it smaller than it is, because this sucks, but people have been going through this forever, and they usually get through it, you know, like they're
One
always
way or
happy on the
another.
other side. So even though it sucks, like, we're gonna get through it, and it'll be okay, and we'll remember it as the crappy chapter in our life, but we'll have a family, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, for me, the topic of hope right now, like filming this video and what we just went through, is harder for me. So I feel that from that person, because my hope has been severely challenged the last month and stuff. And I just think, like, my thought right now going through my head is like, what would I tell that person if they were in the room with me, or what would I tell myself? What do I tell myself this last month, when like it literally is really hard to like have any hope for me? And I think the one thing that I would say is that just because you don't feel the hope doesn't mean it's not there. And like the last couple weeks when I don't feel it, I don't feel that little push, that little hope, that little anything, it feels quiet, it feels gone. I just choose to think that it's still there. And that's kind of my approach for other things too, even with feeling like God is helping you through this journey, or there, or whatever, like so many other things, other categories of life that I apply that same thought to. But it's like, just because you don't feel it right now, you don't feel joy, you don't feel positive right now, you don't feel hope right now, doesn't mean it's not still existing around you and still there. And like you can, like, it's okay to let yourself accept that you don't feel it, but it doesn't mean you're not hopeful, or it's non-existent for you anymore.
I don't know, like, God definitely has a way of turning terrible things into some positive things in the long run. And I know one of the smaller positives from this will be that our kid will be so loved and not be able to ever doubt or deny like how badly they were wanted. So, I mean, it would have been a lot easier just to get pregnant the first try 2 years ago, but it won't be without any sort of reward. Like, we'll get through it, and it'll be okay.
Like having to let go of how I thought things were going to be, or this idea that I get in my head of anything, like bigger picture or smaller picture, like the idea that I get into my head that like I'm 9 days late for my period, so I think I'm going to be pregnant, and I believe it, and I'm hopeful or whatever, and then it's not, and there's no hope. Like, the lack of hope isn't from not believing that I someday am going to have a baby, we're going to have a baby in our lives one way or another. Like, I know that I can do XYZ, different things, like there's options that I can have a baby. The lack of hope comes from having to break up with like your process or belief of how you want things to go, how you think it should go, how you wanted it to go that month, whatever. Like, not feeling hopeful is a crappy side effect of having to let go of the beliefs or the desire they have, or like this sense of control, like trying to have some sort of sense of control over your situation, or like dreaming about how it's going to be and hoping that, you know, your IUI works or your IVF works or things like that. Like, that's where the heartbreak is, and that's where the lack of hope and faith and effort of trying is from. The hope, like, even though you don't feel it because of all that, the hope exists because you know someday, like, you can have a baby, you're going to have a baby, whether it's through adoption, foster, being a mom to your friends' kids, like being a motherly figure, or being able to get pregnant and have kids of your own someday, stuff like that. One of the questions that I saw, I think just more in the DMs, was how has infertility affected our relationship, and more specifically, how is going through the like infertility treatments affected our relationship?
Yeah, well, first I'll say is you have to be really careful during this, because I can see how this could completely destroy a couple, like totally. I feel really blessed where that has not been the case for us, and we've taken those challenges and allowed them to bring us closer together and to lean on each other and trust each other more. I can speak from the guy's perspective more. Like, I think the important things to do to make sure that it doesn't destroy you guys, because it really could. It really could. And one of those things is understanding, like, so I've been very sad during this. I've had some really sad moments, but generally speaking, like, I've had sadness and then I'm able to pull out of it. Maddie, on the other hand, I would say has had like a deep depression the entire time. And when you're married to someone who is deeply depressed, that's a lot, and it can, I can have temptation to let that be frustrating to me in the way that it affects my life, because it is so, it's not like, you know, someone's having a bad day, you know, it's like someone's having a bad 24 plus months. It would be very easy to like let that cause conflict or frustration or whatever, and I've just kind of like decided that that's not going to be the case. And as the man, as hard as it gets, you have to remember a few things. Number one, it's like, again, this is just a chapter. Like, you can't solve all of her problems, you can't take away the depression, but the one thing you can do is decide how you're going to react to it. And you just like have to you have to keep going. You have to do your part. You have to stay strong in every other area that you can. It's okay for you to be sad and whatever too, but you have to be there for her in a way that's not necessarily taking the pain away and being the solution to all of her problems, because that doesn't exist. You have to be okay with that, but you do have to be in complete control of how you react to the situation. And I would say another thing is, like, when you are sad, I honestly think it's really empowering and a good thing to lean on her during those times and tell her when you're sad, because I think it builds a lot of trust, and also it helps her know that you do care a lot about this and that you are there for her in a different way, and you're emotionally connecting over that, instead of like she's the sad one and you're the one that has to pretend you don't care so that you can be the man and like get things done and stuff. Or like it kind of like it bonds you guys in it together.
Yeah, I think the bond and the connection and the way you support each other isn't from the guy, and I know this is what guys like, their desire, their hearts are to like fix problems. Like, that's the way their brains are wired. Let me fix the problem, let me make her feel better, whatever. So rather, it's like his presence and the way we connect is from him having like a deep sense of empathy and digging deep to like understand why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, or what it's like for me as the girl and what I'm going through, and just like understanding the process of everything, being really involved with everything, coming to every fertility appointment, understanding my cycle, asking me about where I'm at in my cycle, how I'm feeling, or what, like, he just understands everything, and he knows at any moment you could ask him any question about me, like getting pregnant, but like you could ask him anything and he knows everything. And a lot of times like I understand that though, like you're emotionally supporting her by being deeply involved in the process, not by fixing the problem of her sadness, because you can't. That's not an option. So you have to be involved in some sort of other way that isn't like a solution to her depression. Yeah, and like in that, you can't listen to the temptation of like, we have evolved as a couple so much in the last 2 years. We're falling more into like our places in our relationship and developing ourselves individually, but also developing ourselves a lot together because of infertility. And I don't know, it takes a lot of being like proactive, but it's also been easy for us because
we're ready for it.
We love each other. We're always looking for reasons to grow and connect, and like we're the type of couple who spends all day together every day. Like, since we got married, we don't go to work separately, we work together, we live life together, we travel, like we do everything in our days together, and we have found ways of being our own individuals while also heavily like living our lives together and finding a lot of joy and comfort and peace in that, and truly like being one. But even if you haven't had a great relationship before infertility, I feel like this type of challenge can still bring you really close together and fix a lot of things.
It hopefully will.
Anyway.
Yeah. There's
It's different for everyone, but
I would say like some of the probably the main themes that would happen in this type of situation and things to avoid on both sides is like number one, okay, my advice to the wives out there, if you don't mind. If your husband seems a little distant or like almost frustrated, he's not frustrated at you, he's frustrated at the situation. And what you can't do in this situation is like get mad at him or like treat him poorly or treat him like he's against you, because that's going to push him away. You need to understand like the source of his frustration is the situation as a whole. Anyway, the best thing you can do is the guy, like, don't pull away from her, like love her more and come closer to her, and don't let your frustration out, even if it's not at her. Trust me, bro, I know you're not frustrated at her, but like just be careful with that. And then the girl, like, don't be angry at him and don't be mean to him, because that's going to push him away very, very far. And then that's what happens. You guys end up like hating each other even though you don't even hate each other, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
Yeah, and it takes work, and like, you know, we have a deep understanding of like what each other's going through and what it's like. We have a lot of conversation of like what his perspective is, what he's going through, what my perspective is, what I'm going through. Learning from other people online, watching other people's stories, learning from them. That always helps too.
It's our journey together. It's not Maddie's journey to getting pregnant. You know,
yeah.
It's like,
well, just like you said, like the girl can't, you know, blame. It's all blaming. Like you can't blame each other. You can't blame him for the way he's reacting to things. He can't. Like, I'm not blaming him for like my sadness, depression, like all of that. It's not his fault. He's not taking it personally. All that stuff. We blame fertility. Like for infertility is this third thing in our relationship.
Our common enemy.
That's the enemy. That's what we blame. It has nothing to do with each other.
I just feel like after this, when we inevitably have our family, I just think we're going to be so much stronger from this, and still wish that this wasn't part of our story, definitely. But I think like if you can go through this as a couple, you're off to a really good start with your family, because if you can handle this long term, like there's so much more that you can handle too. So I absolutely see it as a challenge as well, you know, like from life, like you're not gonna get between us. We're gonna get through this and it's gonna be okay. Anyway, you guys, thank you for watching this video, and thanks for joining our little journey. Hopefully this part of the journey comes to an end very soon, but thank you for being here. Follow us on Instagram. That's where we're the most active, where we're doing consistent updates on our infertility journey. And we actually talk about other things that are not that sad too. So if you're into travel, or just like, I don't know, just all the fun stuff we do, that's a good place to go to.
Follow our family page.
But it is true, if you are in this for our journey as well with infertility, or you're on your own and you need someone to talk to or laugh with or whatever, then yeah, head to our Instagram.
Woo! Thanks for watching. Peace out.